Look up on a clear night, and space looks calm, peaceful, a quiet black ceiling with a few soft lights. That is a lie. What you are actually looking at is a shooting gallery. The universe is full of objects that could erase you and everything you have ever known without slowing down. Some of them are floating just above your head right now. Some are so large your brain physically cannot hold the number. And a few of them are already moving toward us. So let's take a walk. We are going to start small, with something humans made, and we are going to climb all the way up to the single most terrifying thing in existence. By the end, you will not look at that quiet black ceiling the same way again. Start with the danger closest to you. Just a few hundred kilometers over your head. It looks empty up there. It is not. It is a junkyard. Every satellite we ever launched is still up there. Every dead rocket stage, every lost bolt and fleck of paint, and all of it is moving at nearly 8 kilometers per second. At that speed, a single chip of paint hits with the force of a bullet. Right now, there are more than 30,000 tracked pieces bigger than 10 centimeters, plus millions too small to even see. The space station has had to physically dodge this cloud of shrapnel more than 40 times since 1999, and it feeds on itself. One collision breeds thousands of new fragments. Each fragment is a new bullet. Push it far enough, and we wrap our own planet in a cage of debris that nothing can ever fly through again. The first terror on this list is the one we built ourselves. Now leave Earth behind, because the other worlds out there are not gentle. We grew up picturing planets as places you could stand on. Most of them would kill you before you finish the thought. Jupiter could swallow more than 1,000 Earths. Its storms are wider than our whole planet and have been raging for centuries. There is no ground to land on, just deeper and deeper crushing pressure that would flatten you long before you ever found the bottom. And it gets stranger the farther you look. On a world called WASP-76b, it is so hot that iron turns to vapor in the air and falls as rain. There is a deep blue planet called HD 889-7330b, where the rain is molten glass. It blows sideways in winds of 7,000 kilometers an hour. On a world called K2141b, the rock itself melts. It has oceans of liquid magma hundreds of kilometers deep, and a sky where vaporized stone falls back down as rain, a planet where the weather is lava. And some planets have no sun at all. Rogue planets, thrown out of their systems, drifting alone through the dark forever. Frozen, silent. If you stood on the surface of one, you could not see your own hand in front of your face. There are likely billions of them wandering between the stars. But dead worlds are nothing next to dead stars. When a giant star dies, it can leave its own crushed core behind. A neutron star. Picture something heavier than our entire sun squeezed down into a ball the size of a single city. The matter inside is so dense that the normal rules stop working. 1 teaspoon of it would weigh about 1 billion tons, as much as a mountain, balanced on a spoon, and these city-sized corpses spin. Some of them whip around hundreds of times every second, faster than a kitchen blender, while weighing more than our sun. And a rare few of these are somehow worse. A magnetar wraps itself in the strongest magnetic field in the known universe. Get within 1,000 kilometers of one in its field alone would pull the atoms of your body apart. Back in 2004, one single magnetar on the far side of our galaxy let out one flare. That flare crossed 50,000 light-years of empty space and still hit the Earth hard enough to disturb our upper atmosphere. From a dead star so far away you cannot even see it, and that flare was just a leftover twitch. The death itself is far worse. When a truly massive star finally runs out of fuel, its core collapses and the whole thing detonates. For a few weeks, one single dying star can outshine an entire galaxy of 100 billion suns. And if a star did this close enough to us, its radiation would strip away our ozone layer and slowly cook the surface of the planet. The kill zone reaches out to something like 30 light-years, maybe 50. That sounds far away. It is not. There are stars inside that range that will die someday. Not soon. But the universe is patient, and the worst part is the timing. A supernova's light travels at the same speed as its radiation, so the flash that tells you it happened and the wave that ends you arrive at the exact same moment. You would never get to worry about it. There is a star wired to do this in your night sky right now. Betelgeuse, on the shoulder of Orion. It is going to explode. It sits too far away to hurt us. But when it finally goes, it will blaze bright enough to see in broad daylight. And a supernova is not even the most violent thing a dying star can do. Sometimes a giant star collapses and fires 2 thin beams of pure energy out of its poles at almost the speed of light. This is a gamma ray burst. The single most powerful explosion since the Big Bang itself. In just a few seconds, one of these releases more energy than our sun will put out across its entire 10 billion year life. And here is the true nightmare. You would never see it coming. It moves at the speed of light. The beam is its own warning, and the warning arrives too late to matter. If one went off within a few thousand light years and happened to be aimed at us, It could scrub the life off an entire side of the planet before anyone understood what was happening. And this may not be hypothetical. Some scientists believe one already struck the Earth hundreds of millions of years ago and helped wipe out most of the species that were alive at the time, but everything so far still leaves something behind. A crater, a scar, wreckage. The next thing leaves nothing at all. A black hole is a place where gravity has won so completely that not even light is fast enough to escape it, which means you cannot see one coming. It is a hole in the dark that is blacker than the dark around it. Fall toward one and its gravity pulls on your feet so much harder than your head that you are stretched out into a long, thin strand of atoms. Scientists gave this a name. They call it spaghettification, and time itself falls apart at the edge. If you watched a friend fall in, you would never actually see them cross the point of no return. They would seem to freeze there, stretched and reddening, hanging at the edge forever, even though for them it was already over. The black hole at the center of our own galaxy is called Sagittarius A star. It is about 4 million times the mass of the Sun, and that one is small. The largest we have ever found is a monster called TON 618. It weighs somewhere between 40 and 60 billion suns. That is more mass than every single star in the Milky Way put together, crushed into one point, and they do not all sit politely in the center of galaxies. Some black holes wander alone and invisible. Drifting through the dark between the stars, you would not know one was near until the sky itself started to bend. Now pull back further. Because it is not only stars and planets that die, entire galaxies do too. A galaxy stays alive by building new stars out of cold gas. But that gas is finite. When it runs out, the galaxy simply stops. No new star is ever born inside it again. The bright young blue stars burn out first, and all that is left behind is a slowly cooling sea of old red ones. Astronomers actually call these galaxies red and dead, vast graveyards of hundreds of billions of stars, all fading together with nothing left to replace them. And this is not just their story, it is the ending of everything. One day the very last star in the entire universe will flicker out, and the cosmos will spend the rest of eternity as a cold, black, empty place. That final chapter has a name. The people who study it call it the Dark Era. Before that, though, the survivors collide. Galaxies are not fixed in place, they fall toward each other, and when two of them meet, they tear straight through one another in a wreck that lasts hundreds of millions of years. Our own galaxy is aimed at its giant neighbor, Andromeda. For years, we called it a certainty, set for about 4.5 billion years from now. Then, in 2025, a new study looked closer and found it is really closer to a coin flip. But if it does happen, the two galaxies will rip each other apart and slowly rebuild into something new. Individual stars almost never actually hit, but whole solar systems get flung into strange new orbits or thrown out entirely into the empty black between galaxies. Your distant descendants might look up one night and watch a second galaxy filling half the sky falling straight toward them. And yet everything so far is at least full of things. The next horror is the exact opposite. It is the terror of nothing. The universe is not spread out evenly, it is built like a web. Galaxies gather along bright glowing threads, and between those threads sit the voids, enormous bubbles of almost perfect emptiness. The largest one we know of is called the Boötis void. It is around 330 million light-years across. To feel that, remember our entire Milky Way is only 100,000 light-years wide. You should be able to line up thousands of galaxies across a gap that size. Instead, there are almost none. If our galaxy happened to sit at the center of the Boötis void, we would not have discovered that other galaxies even existed until the 20th century. We would have looked up and seen only our own stars, and believed the whole universe was empty black nothing in every direction. Some galaxies out there really are that alone. Which brings us to the thing we understand the least of all. Because maybe the real terror is not any single object, it is how much is out there that we simply cannot see. And something we cannot see is pulling on us. Our galaxy is not drifting gently through space, it is being dragged. Our entire Milky Way is falling toward a single point, and thousands of other galaxies are falling with it. We are moving toward it at about 600 kilometers every second, more than 2 million kilometers an hour. It drags us 3,000 kilometers closer every 5 seconds. And you cannot feel a thing. It sits at the heart of a supercluster called Laniakea, a structure holding 100,000 galaxies. And our whole galaxy is just one of them being slowly reeled in. And we do not know what it is. It sits in a region we call the zone of avoidance, hidden directly behind the crowded, glowing heart of our own galaxy. The dust and starlight block our view completely, so we gave the invisible thing a name. We call it the Great Attractor. Thousands of galaxies are falling toward it right now, ours included. And we still cannot fully see what is waiting for us at the bottom. And that is the terror hiding underneath every single thing on this list. It is not really the objects, it is the scale. So let's end by zooming all the way out, start with you, now pull back, your room, your city, the whole Earth shrinking down to a single blue dot. Pull back further, the Sun and all its planets collapse into one tiny point of light. That point sits inside the Milky Way, one of a few 100 billion stars. Pull back again, and the entire Milky Way becomes a single speck inside a small group of galaxies. That group is a speck inside a supercluster, and that supercluster is a speck inside the observable universe. The part we can actually see stretches 93 billion light-years across, and it holds something like 2 trillion galaxies, each one carrying hundreds of billions of stars of its own. There are more stars in the observable universe than there are grains of sand on every beach and in every desert on Earth. And every terror on this list is out there right now, playing out billions of times over. And that is only the part the light has had time to reach us from. Past that edge, the universe keeps going. We do not know how far. It might even be infinite. And we will never find out, because that light will never ever reach us. So the next time you look up at that calm, quiet black ceiling, remember what it actually is. Not a peaceful thing. A vast and violet machine, almost entirely empty. It has no idea you exist, and it would not change a thing if you were gone. You are standing on one tiny warm rock wrapped in a thin skin of air. In the one narrow window of space and time where any of this is survivable at all, that is not really a reason to be afraid. It is the reason to look up while you still can. And if this rewired how you see the sky, there is one more object out there we did not cover. A tiny probe. Still calling home from the very edge of all of it. Long after we stop listening, that video is on your screen right now. Go find it. And I will see you in the next one.